11. A good note of Shabbos. The Torah starts of VaYakhel is to teach you again that ain't being your Beis Hamikdash Teichel Shabbos. Either again, have an Acharak. No, it doesn't say. Doesn't say Acharak. It's not because VaYakhel came that the Chil Shabbos before being your Beis Hamikdash. Before they actually built the Beis Hamikdash, he chaz it over from Shabbos. You see that Shabbos not there for being your Beis Hamikdash. We had it before that the last Parsha of Shabbos, the last Parsha before the Egel is Shabbos, and again there's a Nachvarak over there, and there it tells you that ain't being your Beis Hamikdash Teichel Shabbos. Why do you have to repeat it? And repeat it so fast. So I think this is pshat. The Meshul told him a very funny halacha. He gave him a reason why Ben Beis Hamikdash is not Teichel Shabbos. Why? Because Shabbos is Mikadishcha. In other words, this is the to teach the goyim why, according to Rashi, to teach the goyim, but teach the Jews to teach you why that you choshit, that you have to be. The Russian is the. Shabbos tishmayu ki oisi beni bnei Yisrael d'reis eichem lo das ki ani Hashem mikadishchem. So that point is very important. And since that's a very important point, then in there. So in the Midbar, we had a problem with that really is not too much negeya, because nobody saw us. There was the Anania covered there, so they never saw us. So if that's the case, Kevin trachten that maybe Bini Beis Hamikdash is like a Shabbos. Because the only reason is it's not Teichel Shabbos is because they should tell the goyim that there's no goyim here. And because of that, he came to make an egel. In other words, you get too lumdish, too svaradik, two things, you'll end up in trouble. So that's the part that they wanted to warn you. So I'm telling you, I saw before I gave you timing, and you can have questions and stuff. Because you can have questions, you got fulfilled. In Cain, I'm telling you now, this is the din. There is no, I don't have to give you any reasons. So you got to say that giving reasons is not such a good zach, because the guy done reasons to reasons, and that is true. That Tamaratzim or kids, who if you give them a tam, will find some kind of a crazy heter for an emisachet with the silver svara or something like that, because I didn't. I don't hear.
He has more armor. The armor is at the side.
I don't see it. Anyone else here, please?
Even a Talmud Chacham can make a mistake because of armor.
Yeah. I'm agreeing to that. That there's no shayla about. But a Talmud Chacham usually will take the keches and review it and go over it. The kid may take it literally, and because of that, or minamoritz, and done ma'isa to ma'isa. I'll give you a moshul. Trying to think if it actually happened or not. That I don't remember. young Israel years ago, saying years ago, we're going back 70, 80 years ago, what defined the young Israel as young Israel? Why is not the young Israel shul? Like any other shul. What do you call the young Israel? Young Israel had a Shem because they were an organization made specially for the youth. The conservatives were very involved originally in it. Before they became before they became conservatives, as conservatives. Yeah, I don't know how to put this to you. Okay. I learned this, okay, guess a little history here. I learned this from someone whose name, Nat Lander. He was the brother of Bernie Lander who made Turo. So he was a brother there, and he's a YU guy. And he was appointed, and he was hired to run the synagogue council. The synagogue council was where a lot of people separated themselves from the conservatives at that time. Where the RCA was a problem because they belonged to the synagogue council and others did not. And they held that to recognize them as Rabbanim, that was a thing that you can't do. So therefore, the synagogue council was treif, because by putting them in, you're putting rabbis, conservative, reform, and orthodox in one organization, and there's no such thing as one organization for the thing. The synagogue council was the main problem, and he was hired to be the head of the synagogue council. He happened to be a guy that's a research person. You know, some people got a job. What does it bother me what the history of the thing is here? Who cares about anything? And that's their job, is to raise money. My job is to do this. He does that. He was a guy that was a hangaton to what is this? What made the synagogue council? See, he did a lot of reading. And they had actually all the papers and stuff that existed in that time. So like one of the papers that he brought to him, I remember, was Baron Hirsch. Baron Hirsch wanted to solve the Jewish problem. How did he want to solve the Jewish problem? He wanted to solve it by paying the Russian and Polish governments with the Polish government that actually worked. He gave them $100 million. And if you want to understand what $1 million was in that time, the 1800s, and now it's it's bigger than a billionaire. He gave $100 million that they should integrate the whole public school system by putting Yidden together, going in the public schools. And he felt that through that they'll be intermarriage, and once they'll be intermarriage, you won't hate the Yidden anymore. Because the only reason you hate the Yidden is because they're separate. If they wouldn't be separate, they wouldn't hate them. The Russian government wouldn't even accept the $100 million. The sinner from the Russian government. But the Polish accepted it. So I once asked the biggest shul in the world, I believe it was the Baron Hirsch Synagogue in Memphis, Tennessee. And that's an Orthodox synagogue. It doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it may exist as small, I don't think it exists at all, the thing there. But the original building that they built, I was there, we had a chassid there once. They had there's a seat for every year that lived in Memphis, for Yom Elohim. They opened it up there. That was they had which is like crazy thing that's about 8,000 seats, something like that. They had in the show. They also had the chassid hall. They had everything else there. And as the Yidden, it only lasted for 16 years, and as a neighborhood. And then the Jews kept moving west towards the Mississippi because the Schwarzes kept moving in and moving them out. So what happened was they used to make Shabbos houses, that people actually bought houses to come special for Shabbos to be mashal a minyan there so they can keep the shul up. And the acoustics of it was so perfect. The Beis Medrash was over 200 feet by 200 feet. I mean, it was something really big. And they had little corners and there the rabbi would speak from there. Without a microphone, you were able to hear all over the whole building. And it was something that was a thing there. So anyway, I happened to ask them once I was there for the chassid, why did they name the place after Baron Hirsch? I mean, they basically, when I said, treft not, what do they call him, Baron Hirsch? They figured they'd get money out of him. Okay, it was a simple small, without the grace and tailors, they told me, okay. Now, Baron Hirsch had a Talmud that was Jacob, what's his name? He was a minor banker, Jacob. He's the one that loaned the money to Japan.
Jacob Schiff?
Who?
Schiff?
Jacob Schiff, right. Jacob Schiff was there, so he was a reform guy in America, and he saw his method, so he wanted to fill it in over here also. So he's the one that was mainly involved in building the seminary. When I say seminary, that's Shechtes, and is what he calls it, that he made the Menalim were Orthodox. It's interesting. There was no such thing as conservatism. That the word didn't even exist until about 1940. That they first made it, that they should be Orthodox thing with the Reform Board. So the Reform Board will keep, in case they get too firm, they're always able to fire them. So that was the thing that he was doing. For that reason, it was interesting. I always held that as a Rosh Hashanah. His daughter happened to be the one that owned the Post. I forgot her first name already also.
Dorothy
Schiff, right. So she owned the Post. So I remember I had that friend Jack Gartenhouse. So was at that time, the Post is always a liberal paper, still a liberal paper. Can tell you, say right now it's a more conservative than the Times is, but it's but at that time it was a liberal paper and pro-Israel, very pro, that stuff like that. So it's a good paper, right? Then one time she wrote something that was not good for Eretz Yisrael. So this guy, Jack Gartenhouse, he went down to her, to the Post, to talk to her, like what kind of business that you're pro-Israel, all of a sudden you write something like this. So when he tells her, she's telling him that she's asking, like, why should I care, and stuff like that. You're a Yid, you're this and that, and like that. I'm an Episcopalian. He's actually Geschmatzach by that time. Okay, but anyway, the Bnei Yeshiva, when they made the first big thing in Bellworks, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, I think how many years ago they made it. At that time, they gave out a book, The History of Mir, or something like that, and they have a whole article in there, a part, when he came to Japan. The one that greeted them was the foreign minister of Japan. The foreign minister of Japan was the one who made the axis with Nazi Germany. So they were very afraid how is he going to speak to them? So they write it. Aren't you afraid? And he wrote, he said, just because we have an alliance with them doesn't mean we have the same shitas as them. We're not bigoted. We don't believe in these things and stuff like that. And he says, and besides, we owe Hakoras HaToy because of Jacob Schiff to the Jewish people. That if it was not for them in 1905, the Russo-Japanese War, nobody would loan them money except Jacob Schiff, who got them and others, and they won the war against Russia at that time. And the thing like that, and they thought we should become one nation. Ganz enough, like that. So, on a guy that's a Rosh is a Rosh, Kiddush Hashem, it just, I don't understand about, we have the story of Bnei Haman, also like the Torah of Bnei Barak, right? But Nebuchadnezzar does not. Why not? Because Bnei Haman brought a Kiddush Hashem in the end. In other words, through the Hasoras HaTabas, that whatever came out of Kiddush Hashem. You don't find anything by Nebuchadnezzar like that. So, you don't find anything like that, they weren't zeicher, but the fact that Kiddush Hashem came out through you, the Beishim owes you something. Okay. I don't understand that. I heard those kind of speeches. I don't know. What am I going to tell you? What did I don't know?
The Meiser with the Tzelem is not a Kiddush Hashem. The Meiser with the Tzelem is not a Kiddush Hashem.
The what?
The Tzelem by Nebuchadnezzar.
What was the Meiser with the Tzelem?
When they didn't bow down to the Tzelem.
Oh, in Tanakh. Could be right, whatever. But that's called, that's through him. He was the Melech at the time. I don't know if that's called through him. I don't know, but that's what they said. It's a chayras, whatever it is, you'll find them. Anyway, so that's what they did. So at that time, they made the Mordechai Kaplan was the head of the Young Israel. Mordechai Kaplan is the guy that made what's the fourth denomination?
Reconstructionist.
Reconstructionists. Made the Reconstructionists. It's part of the conservative movement, where he made the Reconstructionist movement. He was the president. He was also the rabbi of the Jewish Center, which is, I forgot his name already. The Ayeki, he came out there. That was an Orthodox shul. It's on the 9th floor, but it's an Orthodox shul. Never it's an Orthodox shul. Ayeki shul. I've got the names. Leo Young, right? And they flat Young, not Young, but anyway, it was Leo Young shul. And they think, but he was there before they threw him out. They threw him out because in the Young Israel, Gufa, Givel the Machlekes in how to do it, and they blame on this the one that RJJ is named after. Reuven Bunim and Katzenbaum. I think it was his name. Yeah, they too fought him, and they remained Orthodox because of that. And and here they threw him out. They felt that he was always saying something a little funny, and that they didn't chop too much, and they finally threw him out. Okay, so that's what it took when we were young, about 1940. So that's what this happened. At that time is when they started calling themselves conservatives, not Orthodox. Before there was a shadow, what you need two Orthodox seminaries for YUN. And there, and all of a sudden this thing is. Anyways, I'm saying this is by learning all of this, he quit the synagogue council. And this thing that now, if this is what it's all about, so then I don't want to be a chelik of it. So this guy quit the synagogue council. He had to be the head of it, and he quit it. But this was the nicest that existed over there. So the Israel was that they drove to shul. Not the Chas shul, to shul. they wheeled carriages and they had mixed dancing. That was of young Israel. That was the type of young Israel over, different than an Orthodox shul, a normal shul. So wheeling the carriages, so I guess that was a lot dependent on the Rabbonim. That the thing was the East Side guy, but the Kozma, they had a guy interesting from Tervadas, with a kapota and everything. They kept wheeling carriages. They took a YU guy, and all of a sudden they stopped wheeling carriages. Like, so what happened? They did there. So he's still there, the same guy. He came in and he started to learn with the Hilchos Shabbos, and he would not tell him that it says he's not allowed to do it. They have men and women living together. So therefore, he's coming in, he's talking about carriages, about carrying on Shabbos, and the guy pushing himself and all that. And a woman asked him, it seems from here, you're not allowed to push a carriage on Shabbos. So the guy said, you're right, it seems to be like that. I know that. I say, no, you got to listen. The rabbis say, don't mean nothing, but okay, there you go. So that was the thing there. So what did it have to do with us? Huh?
Amoritz will compare things that...
Oh yes, I was saying so. So I remember as kids talking, so they stopped that, but why didn't they stop dancing? Right? Because dancing must be mutter. Why? Because the rice is the alpha. What do you call the contramo? Is the sikrivus on the rabbanon. And this is not even sikrivus. They're not done with taiva. Who I guess little kids didn't know too much about taiva. So I guess so they must be mutter. Okay, so looks like that's a heter, whatever it is. Saying you can make a Torah from anything. I mean, if you don't understand, you don't know the things, you'll find you can make a dimion, whatever it is, and you're way off a left field someplace. It's not what do you call it. See, that's with the Welt, if I don't understand, I think we're called hair splitters by the Welt. What do you mean hair splitter? You're always making chalukim, right? Making a chalukim. See, you're splitting hairs. It's not hairs. Mizrach and Ma'ariv also meet somewhere. And at the point where Mizrach and Ma'ariv meet, there is also a split. One is called Mizrach and one's called Ma'ariv, yet one's right next to the other. So therefore, it's a point that's the thing. That's where Chaim comes in. They show you what are you saying. You're saying this, you're saying this. That's the point that you get to understand what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. You will talk about we spoke about the slave, the difference between the Nasi and why he took away the Yud, and what that's got in VaYakhel, but we spoke about it before Kisisa, or Truma maybe. But the idea is that the shaila is, how do you know that? So that's what we see from Pikudei, the beginning of Pikudei. Pikudei gives you the donations that they gave. So it's going into financial donations. So silver, it says, was, or at least there's machlekes on this, on silver. If it was they only gave the machzas shekel, there was no other silver that they gave. Or the thing there, some don't go down that there was other silver. But my pashtus, so the way the psukim say, only says only the machzas shekel was given. That was given for the thing, for the adonim and for the things for the prayer that was all made from the machzas shekel. So Yikar is the gold, and the other monies, copper, these things, much less in value. But so let's see how much he got. He has 30 kikrim, approximately. It's 29 kikrim, 730, right? So divided 29,000 makes it much less. It's 2/3 less, at least, because it's 3,000 shekel, and shekel HaKodesh is 6,000. So you figure 6,000 times 30, right? And then divided by 600,000, right? That's what the thing is. How much does a person have to give in value of silver shkolim to be considered a divlev, right? So even if you take the copper or 70 kik, whatever it is there, and all the other things, but each guy gave a little bit of that, the thing over there, or let's say about the stones. Only the Nesiim gave, so they were out of the picture already, the main expensive stuff. The Atzei Shitim, how did he didn't break up the Atzei Shitim, so I don't know exactly how they did, who they belonged to officially. They belonged to Klal Yisrael, because Ya'akov Avinu planted it and told us to take it with them. I mean, I don't know who gave it, or if they had to give it to them, or whatever it is. But Lamaisa, so if you divide the money, it comes out to between 25 and 30 shekel a person. That was the donation of every yield, of an average yield, right? Compared to millions of dollars that the Nesiim gave, and yet they're in a divlev and he's not in a divlev. So that's what you see. It's not the amount of money you give, it's the attitude you bring it. I care, and what do you need today? What do you need? And this and that. In other words, I'm involved. Not just it's a one-time deal. Here's a blank check, right out, fill out when you need it. No one gives And he says that you're supposed to take all these things, that the 15 items that he enumerates, and you're supposed to make it. And you're supposed to make it v'shulchan v'sbala v'skokela v'slechem haponim. And you're supposed to make the lechem haponim from it also. He spoke about this also, that the lechem haponim seems to be made from the money that was not they did not collect flour to make lechem haponim. Now there's in two things like that. You find the Shemel Amor and Shemel Amishcha was donated by the Nesiim. So the individual yield did not give any of that. Just the Nesiim gave it. So there's two things that basically were not in the actual donation, even though the Shemin it says was, this is what I need, right? This is what I want, whatever it is there. But he still didn't say kemach, and that was, we said the chilik. We'll say that again. And but the shemen they did take, but it's not the regular donation as a regular person. I guess it works this way. They gave these things as a one-time deal. Definitely Shemen HaMishcha. Why was the Shemen HaLamoer a one-time deal? I don't think that was considered a one-time deal, but they needed l'chatchila, a menorah without the oil was not a menorah. So I got to give you the oil for one time, for 10 times, 50 times, whatever it is. But they're obviously going to need new oil every time. It's not going to be forever and ever the same oil. But they both have to be made by Klal Yisrael. In other words, that it's not something that's the Rebbeinu Yisrael. Giving Tumah L'Hashem, right? So Tumah L'Hashem means that we're giving you your God, we're giving you yours, and now you're building the Mishkan, right? Mishkan. But after you gave it to me, first I'm asking you to give me Truma. I want you to give me Truma. What I want you to do with the Truma is I want you to make me a Mishkan. But first I got to get the Truma. But it's God really that's paying for it. In other words, he's paying for it with the truma that you gave him, but advice you didn't donate to it. You gave to God what he wanted. God now took with the materials that you gave him and he wanted to build a Mishkan. This is what he did. So even though he did ask for the Shemin, which is learning Torah, the Ruchnis of Klal Yisrael, he did this, right? But Lamaisa, it still has to come from the Yid himself. In other words, it's not something. So the fact that the Nasiim gave it is not that I gave it personally. So in other words, so it's not we did it one time then and that's it. We have to do it when we're not in the Beis HaMikdash. That's my point of Torah is about as much as Ruchnis we're going to put into the Ruchn in the world, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be more than what we do. We're the ones that have to do it. And that's what Torah is. The same thing goes to Lechem Aponim. But Lechem Aponim L'chayim should be something a little bit different. We understand that Yidden don't learn Torah, there's no Torah in the world, right? But donations, money, there's money in the world. It doesn't have to be only Jewish money. I mean, Jewish money too. There's plenty of money in the world. Right? Why do you have to think that? No, I don't want it that way. I want the Yidden should make me a Mokim Kedusha, right? But now we have a problem. Torah is a physical thing. So therefore, since Torah is a physical thing, as much as Torah you're going to learn, that's how much Torah it's going to be, right? About if it's a Gashmias thing, it has a price. If it has a price, so if he gave me the money, we have it. He didn't give me the money, we don't have it. Right? So what no, that's what Benishon is guaranteeing. Money to go, that's up to me. How much money you're going to make that you're going to be able to give to the Mishkan, that's up to the Benishon. Right? So therefore, if I only gave you that l'chayre, I can't do the bill, obviously enough. What I'm giving you is enough to do what you have to do. This thing over there. And that's the part that we have to learn, that it's enough. Now sometimes, why does he do it that way? It's not my pay grade, the mizok. So I don't have to tell it's why sometimes like this, sometimes like this. But I think now, when was on Lakewood's list? No, it was a Muncie list. Okay, Muncie, Lakewood does make a difference. Every yeshiva has a fancy new building. Every little Beis Yankiv has a fancy new building. Right? Where do they get all that money? We don't have it. Right? Exactly. So the Benishon gave it, right? He gave it to us. But us he didn't give it. Or let's say he gave it to us, different types of money. We bought buildings. Very rarely we built a building. It was always we bought a building and stuff like that. And we utilized it until we saying goodbye building and let's go to Eretz Yisrael, let's go to Lakewood, let's go to Muncie, let's go to Eretz Yisrael, whatever it is there. But there's a time, you'll say maybe if you didn't need it permanently, I can't answer you. I'm not going to shut them. But the Benishon's telling you got to act with what you have. It's not pshat that you can say if he would have had, we would have done more, we would have done this, but it's baloney. You have the thing that, so I mentioned once before, we did how many kids in the class, and listen, we all know these things. And what do you call it? And yet you know how many kids can't get into yeshiva. What does that mean? What do you mean can't get into yeshiva? Right? Well, the yeshiva feels it could only afford one classroom, and that's 25 kids. So 26 kids, it's your problem, kid. Go find a place. I think that wasn't, in my time, that didn't exist. A class by my shver had, I think, 84 kids in the first grade. Okay. And then TJ, I remember 53 in the third grade. Let's get thank you. And that thing over there. So you had the kid, the point is every kid, you have to grab him off the street and you take him in to learn Torah. There's no such thing as saying, I have no room for you. There's no such thing. This doesn't exist. Okay.
The Rebbe is talking about the Shulchan Aruch.
Huh?
The Rebbe is talking about the Shulchan Aruch.
Yes, I'm saying that's talking about when we have the ideal thing, if you have enough Rebbeim, you have enough things, so more than 25 for this, you don't have in one class. That's emes. But I can't say that goes to us, because it says 25 is the ideal way, so we don't take in more than 25. That's baloney. Our job is not teaching Torah. Our job is teaching Dayan Yid. It's a big difference between that and that. The Chochmah, okay, you need to be able to work with each kid and stuff like that. And because of that, kind of the Rebbe has to do like that for Basra. Even the kid that sleeps all the time, slept through the first 8 grades, I still have to keep him in my class and not leave him back, stuff like that. I can threaten to leave him back, but I don't leave him back, wherever it is there. So, but no one will listen to that either. So what difference does it make? This thing? Okay. Maybe I'll jump to there a second. But that's what we have to talk about. Maybe that will says. Yeah, well, I'm going to jump around though, okay, because it's that late. It has here that the Kia was a Russian. Yes, it's Hakia, Nechoishis, Ve'eskan Nechoishis, B'maras HaTzevzeh Shetzova Petzor HaMoed. That's the whole parsha, one pasuk, that's the whole parsha. Rashi brings down a big thing over here. That Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to take it originally because it's connected to the Yetzer Hara. And the Ben Shem told him, this is more overly than everything else. And then he describes how it's done. Now, just before I describe that, I just want to tell you that there's a machlokes also, if they had more kappa or dafke b'maras hatzoivos. There's many of the women that gave it, the tovos, that's how big the kiyah was. If they gave a lot more, it would have been bigger. If they gave less, it would be smaller. But the size of the kiyah was not totally on the donations, it was totally on the maras hatzevos. And the thing over there. Okay. So then he describes it. Says the woman, the Ben Shem made doch nisim, and the woman went out to get water, and with the water there was fish. And they cooked the fish, they dressed up, and they brought the fish to their wives, to the husbands in the fields, and the husbands were brochen, and they would say to them, look, and they fed them, and then they took the mirrors and they said, look at me and look at you. Didn't say I dressed up in front of the mirror. They didn't say that. But normally, what's the chesron in the mirror? Me putzikas in front of a mirror. That's the chesron of it. And what was the purpose of it? She wants to look as pretty as she can in order that she should be able to have that. That was the way I would think the pshat is of Moshe Rabbeinu's time. But that's not what it says. They took the baras out and they would take a look at it and she'd say, I'm prettier than you. Now, how is that Mesava person? It says in the Russian, let's see, how is this Russian here, Rashi? Maris, Mistad Losev, Dvorim, Loimer, Ani Noyem Emoch, Metoich Kach is Mevies Rebaleim Li'e Taiva. How does that bring to Taiva? Guys, the wife says to the husband, you're a slob, I mean, look at me, I'm a beautiful girl, and they're thinking, what kind of shaykhs we got to do? He's going to have a taiva after that. Well, you insulted me, I'm not talking to you anymore. Whatever it is, it's going to be a big fight. So I said that, so Rashi writes it to that, where Rashi says it happened. I mean, so I assume what the pshat was, what the woman said to the man afterwards, after he's ate, and he's, what do you call you ate, now you can rest a minute, relax a second. I want you to look at us both. We both work Avodas Perach. It wasn't pshat a woman didn't work Avodas Perach. A woman also worked Avodas Perach, right? And yet I'm able to dress up and what do you call it? And I want to build a family. I want to have a family. I want to think them. And you're ready to give up on the world. You're telling me you can't have children. What's the point of having children? They're only going to be avodim and everything. Right? That's your tzibach lemensch. Look at me. We have a Klal Yisrael to build. We have something to do. Oh, that you can do it, I can do it too. Okay, that's what she did with mechazik them. They're mechazik the man to do that. So it had nothing to do with taiva. So why is my Shabbat called it taiva? I mean, the thing I was thinking about. I mean, naturally, we have the same lotion we use. You say, I have a big Yetzer Hara for a good kugel on Shabbos. You have a Yetzer Hara for a good kugel on Shabbos or a Yetzer Tov for a good kugel on Shabbos? What kind of Yetzer do you have on it? Oh, but we touch up the desire as a Yetzer Hara. That's not true. Now, the Rabbeinu, and I think maybe, I don't know if it helps that maybe Yetzer Hara keeps people away from doing Averis. Once we start modifying it, kids may start thinking that's not so bad. That's the thing there. Eating, the Rabbeinu made that we have to eat to live. So what did he do? He made us get hungry. No, with the Rabbeinu that we didn't have to get hungry, right? You know, you have to take the pill at 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, what do you call it? You don't take it, you're going to drop dead. So you're going to take it. But how am I going to know I'm going to drop dead? When you finally drop dead, you find out that you didn't take it. That's why you dropped dead. So if you don't eat, I can tell you also you're going to die of hunger. So what do I have to make you hungry for? But the Rabbeinu built it in that the pshat is that we can't pass that time that we have to eat in order to make us, give us keiches. He gave us the thing that to keep reminding us that we got to keep ourselves alive. That's our job. So if I have a Yetzer Hara for Davar Treif, so it's really it's not a Yetzer Hara for Treif. If it's only because I want to eat Treif, maybe that's called the Yetzer Hara Taki. But if I want to eat, but it happens to be the only food I have is treif. So that's not a Yetzer Hara, it's a Yetzer Tov. I have to eat. The only thing that's here is this, and now I have a problem that what my Yetzer Hara for Tov is only thing is going to be is to eat ra. So that would be a problem, but it's not the thing but it's not the thing itself that's ra. In other words, and since this is the way the world reproduces, so it's not ra. The Rebbeinu wants it. He made such a taiva in the world. Why did he make it a taiva, such a taiva? Because he wants the world. If we wouldn't have this world, people would have spilt the ball. They're not going to have anything. They may sit around, but they can't be nix. And all of a sudden, nobody will be negated to them. There's these things. The Rebbeinu wants to make sure that there's a world. So therefore, he puts a taiva in. Right? So, but it's not a point, so it's not really Yetzer Ra. That's what I'm trying to say. Another point you have to figure out is whether I never see Yetzer Hara what I hold, so I have to fight it, or I shouldn't fight it. In other words, to light the kugel on Shabbos, I don't think you should fight. That's what I'm thinking of. There's any Yonik Shabbos, you have to have the Yonik Shabbos. Go and enjoy yourself. It's not fun. That's one point. The other point is in the Binyan HaMishkan. Okay. There's the Seforim. I don't know if we spoke about it or we started to speak about it. Anyway, there's only one Seforim in Parshas Pikudei. As the Puna talks about, it says the Mishkan, the word Mishkan has two meanings. It's the ceiling of the roof. That means there's the roof, and there's the kisui, and there's the oiris samachase. So there's three levels on that, and the lowest level is called the Mishkan, the Esiyariyas. That's called Mishkan. And the total building is called Mishkan. Right? So he says, so how do we touch up the pasuk? When do we know to touch like this or like this? So he goes in Shishi. The Mishkan was erected. What does that mean? The building, right? Right? Okay. VaYakhel Moshe took and stood up the Mishkan as HaMishkan. So the we can touch it up. He took the Mishkan, or he's taking the Assyrias. Pashtas, since he's taking Hukam HaMishkan, she told me he's taking the Mishkan. So it has to be Vayitel es Adonov, Vayosem es Kroshe, Vayitel es Bricha, Vayokem Samudov. That's how I put the beams, all these things afterwards. Vayifresh es oil, or HaMishkan, Vayosem es Michse oil, all of them all. So I said, but it doesn't say he put the Mishkan up again. Right? So therefore, where did that happen? So from that, it doesn't say that. It's right that the first thing that has to go up is the Mishkan. That's the first thing. Whenever they put up the thing, and that could be why reason only Moshe Rabbeinu was able to do it, or it had to be an S, or it could be that they had to have ladders, he says. Maybe they had ladders, but the first thing has to go up. Okay. I say then the Reuven wanted good about. It don't make sense because that's not the way you normally build. You build from the floor up. You put the kosher, first you put the adonim, then you put the kosher, then you put the. That's how you would build. So I time it, and we'll see from this thing that the whole binyan hamishkan is the derech of Torah. Roshiva Zatzal said, why is it that the Adonim were different than all the rest of the Kalim or the rest of the Bilga Midrash, that you needed everyone participate? Everyone has to have a machzah shekel. Why? Like anything else, the walls, the food, the this, you give what should you give? So he used to say, and again, this has to do maybe with the attitude of how many kids you have in the course. You know, he says, in a foundation, everybody has to have the same foundation. You can't say this guy's going to be nobody, so we don't have to teach him anything. And this is the way it was once upon a time. And in a way, you know, we're really a small generation. I mean, you know, I'm not talking about because there's not that many former Yidden comparative to those before. I'm talking about even among the former Yidden. Now, the thing, I think they tried to do it in Europe, but I think the one that really accomplished it is Unzadar. And I can't even say Unzadar, meaning when I was a kid, because I didn't even know about Daf Yomi until I was much older. I know the political things, who knows who learned about these things and not negaya to anything. It wasn't negaya. My father, I remember, held cheshbon on every day of Daf Yomi. Remember, he's always told me, please listen to this day Daf Yomi. Do you learn it then? I don't know, I never asked him. You know, what I'm saying, but the Maisi, but he always held cheshbon which day it was of Daf Yomi. Now, Daf Yomi is the thing that every Yid learns Daf Yomi. I mean, out there. Didn't exist years ago. He wanted, I guess that was Meir Shapiro's idea, was that we tried to get the Yidden to learn Daf Yomi. But the Maisi didn't learn Daf Yomi either. What's the difference, you know? What do you think? But now, everybody wants Daf Yomi. Everybody wants Torah. Everyone wants, I mean, among the format. It didn't exist 50 years ago. Didn't exist. בזמן התנאים האמוראים for sure not. In other words, they were so in their times they couldn't even have a guy know Aleph Beis. Rabbi Akiva didn't know Aleph Beis. Rabbi Eliezer didn't know Aleph Beis. What do you mean they didn't know Aleph Beis? Didn't go to Cheder? No, I didn't go to Cheder. Why not? Because I'm a farmer. That's why I didn't go to Cheder. So I don't have anything reason to go to Cheder. So all the same reasons we got now. My son's not going to be a rabbi. It doesn't make a difference anyway. That you had in those times. Okay. So we don't know where godless comes from. So everybody got to be. We got to teach everybody the same. Everybody got to be the Aleph Beis, and everybody's got to teach how to read, and everybody's got to be taught how to uptight and things like that. And then each person will become who will become. But we have to give each one a good foundation. That's one. And then the question is, like, this is my own stuff, but to be honest, the kids, an out-of-town kid, and the kid from New York. A kid from New York, he came to 9th grade, he's learning allotasis, pretty much. Wherever you go, pretty much, you learn allotasis already. He'll come out of town, the 9th grade, maybe starting Mishnayos. Why? The kids are not stupider than the kids in New York. Right? The thing doesn't. The idea is a guy out of town is doing a mitzvah, right? I'm learning with kids that are fry, I'm learning with kids that are coming to fry your homes, whatever it is. So, how much can we teach them? Let's see. Let's teach him a pasuk. Oh, that kid was battling. Maybe I should tell him a story in the middle of this pasuk. So I'll tell him another story. And by then he'll learn 2 psukim a year or something like that. The guy in yeshiva, pay attention. If not, you're going to go to the principal's office, okay? So all of a sudden everybody's listening. So I learned 10 psukim with him, 50 psukim with him, 100 psukim with him, whatever it is. That's one way you can learn how it works. And that's why there's a big difference between New York and out of town. Or you can learn that's the method you do out of town. In New York, every yeshiva says, where do we want our talmidim to go, our graduates? We want to be the best. We want to be the best. We got to go into the best yeshivas. And what the best yeshivas learn? They learn allotasis. And so we better make our kids ready to learn allotasis by the time they go to the 8th grade, right? So if that's the case, we have a different curriculum. We have a different, why? Because we have a goal. The guy out of town has no goal. The kid's not going anywhere. Whatever we teach them, that's it. There's nothing going to go any more bigger than this. But here, we're going to go bigger. So if we're going to go bigger, so therefore we have an out. So the idea is we have to have a goal. So the Mishkan has to come up first. That's our goal. We want to reach there. And then we can reach it. Now, l'chayra, you can say, if that's the case, it's a funny looking Mishkan. Because the Mishkan, the Adonim are equal, and everything else is by donation, and this is it. So therefore, it could be that the boards won't reach the Mishkan. They'll only go halfway up. You only got a half a donation. You didn't get a full donation. I didn't put his whole kechas into it. Or pshat is to say that every person that reaches as much as he can reach because he goes that way, that's his shleimus. And in Medla, they all reach the top. It's a little thing. Moshe reached the top and we reached the top because the Genshin didn't give us any more kechas than that. So therefore, that's what that's how big we got. Okay. So that's the reason for that. Okay. Now, I think that the parsha after this, also in Shishi, it takes about each thing. That after he put up the Mishkan and did the thing, he brought in the Aron, then he brings in the Menorah, then brings in the Shulchan, and then the Menorah. And the thing there. Each one, and he puts the things on it, and whatever it is. Why is telling that to me? He didn't do it this way. He didn't come in and light the Menorah when they brought in the Menorah. Till they brought in the Mizbeach Hazov, it's not a Menorah yet. It's in total, you need a total building before it becomes the mitzvah. It's not just the thing there, it's brought down that you need the whole total building. So I think that the time is that Enoch Enami B'Tzalel gave a good reason why the Mishkan had to be first. Even though we said in Tzias is the Mishkan didn't have to be first because the Maisa wasn't put up, it was finished, what do you call it, Chofei Kislev, it wasn't put up to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So you have how many months that it stayed empty or parked in the street. I mean, so what is it? So obviously you don't need a building because I don't have a building then either. So what do I need a building for? So the kash is only because that's the derech. In other words, we don't know what the Rebbeinu Shalom is being mitzvah. So if he's mitzvah and he told us to build a mishkan with kelim, so then obviously you have to build a mishkan first to put the kelim in there. Like that. That was mitzvah's small. But each keli had many kavanis in it. In other words, what happened to it? How do you make the water holy in the kiyah? Was the water really put? It says that he put water in the kiyah, and then they made it mashma the zrikya from the Shema HaMishra. So in other words, what do you need the water for? And stuff like that. The water for becomes whole because a kiyah is only with water. That makes it. But afterwards, how you mekadosh the water by being in the kiyah becomes kodesh. But so it has the kiyah has that much kedusha, has that much keich of kedusha that it's able to mekadosh even or something that's another thing there. So those are the things to teach you. How do you become holy? How do you think? What's the purpose of each mission? Why do you make a menorah? Why do you make a shulchan? Why do you make these things for? And this is the thing that is there. Okay. Anyway, good Shabbos to everybody, and good. Okay, good Shabbos everyone. That's my stuff up the door. I don't mind his mouth.
My daughter was afraid she's going to get us a Syrian. She